Fujiwara Naeka is a typical 17-year-old Shuuhou Seiha Private high school student. Alongside her other students, Naeka will be competing in a National Kendo Tournament. Her opponent was knocked out with just one blow, with that being a head strike. Her classmates celebrate her accomplishment of making top 4, while a gentleman is creepily admiring this girl in a private booth. Her friends jokingly say how she can fight with having big breasts. Naeka is confused why they would even make the joke, but is relatively happy about her winning. At the competition, 2 maids arrive in a shiny limousine, and they happen to see the girl's match. The girl turns around sensing something, as if someone was looking at her. Her coho blushingly asks her if she would like some water. When she goes to reach for the water, a cooking knife pierces through the bottle. The male maid was worried that it was poisonous. This causes their sensei to come running over to check on the situation, and they're both put to sleep. The other maids suspected that they might be assassins, but they're shooting darts at them. It turns out that this girl is not a typical high school girl, with her being the granddaughter of a billionaire tycoon, and in half a year, she'll turn 18 and be expected to inherit the mass fortune. The Kendo Club girls happen to be in the shower. While this is happening, Kogarashi, the burly man maid, is doing something questionable. As he's about to be caught, he vanishes, with only Naeka able to somewhat see him at such speeds, but not knowing exactly what she's seeing. It turns out that the man was actually just leaving off an extra pair of unmentionables. Her kohei runs into the room to inform Naeka that she has to make an appearance into the VIP suite. Inside of this room is an old man who's a bit surprised by the level of detail the Japanese put into their figures. Kozuke offers to show him more of his maid collection, with this worrying the man. Naeka happens to be this old man's granddaughter. Both the grandfather and her brother gawk over the maids. Naeka is mad that her brother is here, with him having school at this time. The old man persuaded the school to have a holiday today, so that the brother can attend the competition. The man does all this for his kids, wanting Naeka to have a peaceful life, and live at the mansion with a view of Mount Fuji, with having an army of maids to serve them, not to mention foods from all over the world. Naeka doesn't want this luxury lifestyle just yet, with her wanting to have more normal values since she's still a child. Her grandfather can respect this opinion about the girl, but wishes that she would have a more peaceful life, demanding to see where she's living. At their home, it's beyond recognizable, with there being trash littered everywhere, broken glass, and crows circling around the house, not to mention roaches and rats skirming around wherever they please. Her grandfather's quite mad about this appearance, feeling that it's embarrassing the rest of the family, with even a television broadcasting this, with releasing an episode that details how badly their house is being kept, as well as neighbors chiming in on this. Naeka demands that the old man doesn't just come in and change their way of living. He claps his hands and out walks an elegant maid, named Fubuki. Inside the house, she's already cleaned all the trash waste, random items, and would-be disposables. As Kazuki's about to run into his grandfather's arms for this maid, Naeka's pride kicks in, with her feeling like this is enough, not feeling that she needs to have a maid clean up after her, with her feeling that this also would poison her brother and make him more lazier. The old man hears her complaints and assumes that the maid is not to her liking, with him already picking out a different maid for her taste. Just then, Kogarashi appears, having already caught the wild insects and animals around the house. Naeka runs away in fear. He promises to serve his new master from morning till dawn, warning that she'd be prepared for this. With him already preparing freshly cleaned clothes for her, he next questions her cleanliness, and assuming that she has some type of fetish for her dirty clothes, with him not caring for this fetish. Naeka kicks all of them out the house. Their parents happen to be missing at this moment, with their plane crashing and them just now finding the remains of the plane. Naeka wants to honor the promise that she made to her parents, promising to live on her own. The old man assumes that Naeka's parents might have been targeted, with him only giving his inheritance rights to that line of the family. He doesn't want Naeka to know about this stuff, so he hired these 2 maids to protect her, with Naeka already being in danger. A few days later, 8 alarms go off in Naeka's room to wake her up. With this not working, the male maid intends to improvise. Understandably, Naeka doesn't like this, and finds that something should be done about this maid. With him knowing too much information, for example, he knows the exact amount of weight that she's gained, with her now being unable to fit her usual skirt. All the information that she's receiving about being thicker becomes too much for the girl, because of her natural body growing rather than her becoming overweight. Fubuki makes sure to properly educate the man on how to properly talk to a young girl. On the way to school, Naeka vents out her problems to her brother, with her wishing to have her normal life, crying. Her grandfather comes running, wanting to know what the problem is. Kazuki translates what she's saying, with it being Kogarashi has taken away her innocence, with this understandably making the grandfather very furious about the situation, and him running to go talk to the man. There we see the man in a puddle, as Fubuki has already given the man a proper lesson of how to talk to people. The family decides to hold a meeting, with the man not understanding what exactly the problem is, and how exactly he's not treating her like a lady. He misinterprets the situation, and he ended up thinking that she needs more risque clothes, with him not permitting this, feeling that she's too young for this. Naeka defends what they mean by this, but this further complicates the response, with him making it sound like she likes smelly things and having a smelly house to live in, further cementing the idea of her having a smelly kink. With this bringing her grandfather to tears, the master needs the man to properly protect his children from the unknown, but still given this, Fubuki is now in charge to rein him in if he ever goes overboard. Fubuki sees the young girl frustrated by the man, and feels that she has the wrong approach, with her suggesting to use a monkey flute to tame the beast. It causes a really harsh noise, with this causing a fire. Naeka is surprised by all this, but Fubuki remains calm. But Fubuki reminds the girl that a master must properly teach her maid. The entire house burns down with Kogarashi scaring her, but this happens to be a nightmare. With the girl waking up the next day, with the girl needing 13 alarms to wake her up, Naeka holds onto the Kenko flute, with it being a tool to use to tame the beast, but the girl happens to slam it against the desk, breaking it. At school, the girl is crying, wondering why this is happening to her. It appears that there's been a rumor around her breast size and math scores being inversely proportional after a sus mention, with the rumor starting with a German teacher. Inko wants to run some tests on them, to see if the rumor is actually true, asking her the first question of how big are they. Just then the heads of all the male students turns around, with it looking like the reanimated zombies. As one of her friends is about to scold them how rude it is to eavesdrop on another person's conversation, Inko is shockingly blurting out the size, with it being 88. What happens next can't be shown, but they play a game of grab the breast. One of them would-be students was actually Kogarashi, with him wanting to improve his master's test results, with her receiving a 29. I don't know how you actually receive that score, given that if you just write your name properly, you would get a 15. At the club room, her club president confiscates her Shina and wooden blade, with them both being forbidden until she's able to get a proper score. Naeka begs her to let her back in the club, with this surprising the other members, not knowing that she loved the sport so much. But she reveals that she's only using kendo to burn calories, with her friends chastising her. Her club president asks that she not fail her test, with this messing up the lineup for the inter-high tournament. She apologizes for her math score, with this bringing the team down, but Miwa says her brain is the problem, suggesting that they stop her breast circulation from growing, with her feeling that not enough nutrients are being supplied to the rest of her body, suggesting that they sell her off to the male kendo club. Just then, the male kendo club arrives to accept this offer, them also being her fan club. They've already prepared 10 million yen in advance for such an opportunity to arrive. In this economy, that's like 70,000, since the yen is currently in the toilet, or 62,000 pounds if you're in the UK, which is a crazy amount for anyone to have, let alone a student. Not a bad deal. I'm kidding. Jokingly. Hearing this type of offer, the girls are willing to go into this investment. At home, she vents out her problems to Fubuki about how she needs to score a 60 to pass, or at least a 30 to avoid retaking the exam, with also mentioning that she can't leave the kendo club since that would make her gain a lot of weight. Plus the extra side note, that being if she got below a 30, she'd be sold off to the male kendo club. Fubuki questions how could they sell off their friend, but the girl also mentions that she did call them flat-chested, making her brother understand how this happened. She begs Fubuki to tutor her since the girl looks smart, but unfortunately for her, the maid also has larger breasts than it appears, so she's unable to teach her math. The young master realizes that maybe the bust size does determine a person's math scores, with it having inverse proportions. Her maid guy walks into this and conjures up a potion to improve her test scores. The drink makes the person thicker, with her obviously not taking this potion. Since she doesn't want to take the potion, he decides that it's now time to tutor her, with him actually coming from MIT. I don't know how to feel about this, honestly. You could have got way better jobs, but okay. He then slaps that ass. To be honest here, I don't know if she's feeling pain or pleasure. I don't know here. The maid can even connect to the internet via ear USB connection. This way he can see her entire lesson in class to properly teach her the perfect strategy for succeeding. On a side note, the brother asks if he could learn the skill, wanting to use it for educational purposes. The day of the exam, Fubuki lessons her gravitational pull, saying of German specialist Professor Schneider, with him being a specialist in breast, studied this relation all his life, with it tracing back to every war in human history. That's crazy. With them next giving her a steel plate to further lessen it. Her friends questioned the nerf the developers gave her. During the test, her mass is too much to bear, with it breaking everything in the room, with the school succumbing to her gravitational pull, and the team telling her off. Yeah, so this is where we're gonna leave off in today's video. If you like today's video, here's another one just like it. I'll be breaking down this anime into multiple parts. Now, if you like today's video, why not subscribe to the channel? I upload daily videos just like this one, so I'll see you next time.